In a day, for how much time do you check your social media accounts? Do you often compare your life with the life of others as they post on social media? Are you a creator or a consumer of content? Today, I help you identify a killer for your happiness, and this killer stays in your pocket. Hi, my name is Vibhor Kumar Singh, and this is my podcast, Catching Happiness with Vibhor. In this podcast, I help you find happiness by uncluttering your life and understanding that happiness can be yours one day at a time. After A for attitude, B for balance, and C for confidence, I think it's time we look at a distraction, a diversion in our modern day life that is slowly but gradually taking us away from our happiness. I'm sure most of you have guessed it by now, but for those who are still wondering what D stands for, let me tell you that in our modern age, one of the reasons for unhappiness is our digital addiction. So I think an important step for finding happiness in today's age is D for digital detox. Yes, I think it's the need of the hour for us to realize how our virtual life is now gradually starting to affect our real life, and also how, because of our virtual existence, happiness in a real life is becoming difficult. We all spend considerable time in our digital world these days, whether it is for work, whether it is for education, or whether it is for entertainment. We all have a parallel digital life and seamlessly become superheroes or supervillains. So, if you think of it, now we are actually running two races in life. One is the race in the virtual world, and the other is the race in the real world. It was always difficult to win the race in the real world, anyways. But now that we have a completely new parallel world where we like to compete with our friends and colleagues, life has become so much more difficult. What we need to understand about the virtual world is that since we do not experience any physical effort or physical pain, we tend to spend a lot of time in the virtual world. And this is what makes it very addictive. And it's only getting more and more by each passing day. The problem with the virtual world is that it permits people to tell only their side of the story. It is a world where only one narrative is shared, and this permits people to fake happiness. Fake feelings, fake emotions can be quickly made believable in this virtual world. And when you start competing with these kind of false narratives, you think and feel unhappy because your side of the story is never as glamorous as what you are seeing on others' posts and social media. The virtual world permits us to create fantasies and live those fantasies. But this is nothing more than instant gratification. It is without doubt that for most of us, it is now very difficult if not impossible, to exit a virtual existence. So, for all those who are getting tired living two lives, trying to be happy in two different but parallel worlds, I think it is important that we follow certain rules in our real life so that at least we can control our virtual life and ensure that our happiness in the real world is not affected. I will share with you some tips and tricks which I pursue myself to ensure that my virtual life is always in control and can never dominate my real life. The first is I don't activate any notifications on my mobile phone. I feel notifications are bait of the virtual world which keep enticing us to grab them and go down the rabbit hole. I switch off all notifications and I think that is something you should also do. The other thing I pursue is that I allocate a screen time for myself and strictly stick to it. Whether it is checking any social media accounts, I only do it for a limited period of time in the day. This permits me to catch up with whatever is happening, but at the same time, it also gives me the freedom to ensure that I enter the virtual world when I want it, rather than when it wants me to enter. The third way to control your virtual existence is being honest to yourself and saying that the world will survive without you. Yes, you heard it correct. The truth is, most of us think we are far too important, and we feel that if we don't respond to an email immediately, if we don't like a post immediately, or if we switch off our phone, the world may come to an end. But trust me, that is not the case. Switching off your digital devices is a very important manner to control your virtual existence and exit the digital life at your terms. I know that for a lot of you, it's not something that you have done since years. Means I have seen people panic when their phone is about to run out of battery. So I think it's a good idea to switch off your mobile at least 2 hours prior to sleeping and switch it on only after 2 hours of waking up. We have to remember that technology and digital tools are simply what they are, that is, tools. They are not supposed to be our masters, and it is your intelligence that makes technology provide a solution. Real life has real challenges which have real consequences. Virtual life is a parallel burden that most of us have voluntarily taken over our heads. So something that looks very harmless is actually silently killing your real world happiness. The moral of this episode is that we are all now living two lives. One is the virtual life and one is the real life. It was anyway difficult to be happy in the real life for so many reasons. Now with another parallel existence, we have to double our efforts to be happy. But the way we can do this is by controlling our digital life, by setting parameters, rules for ourselves of how we will use this virtual world to our advantage and not let it become a burden on our real life or on our happiness in the real life. I hope I have got you thinking of the implications of your virtual existence. Do draw that line and do not let your virtual existence start affecting happiness in your real life. Do share this podcast with anyone you think who needs to know that finding happiness is possible. And I hope to bring new words into your happiness dictionary as we move on to this journey. Thank you.